Bio100.
Hi, and welcome to Bio100. I wanted to do just a little brief introduction so you could get an idea of who I am as we kind of go through this weird kind of second go around or second and a half go around of online instruction. Hopefully the last, but we'll just see how things go. And in a little while, I'm going to be asking you guys to introduce yourselves to both myself and others in the class, so it's only fair that I do it too. So I'm Clayton Visger. I'm an assistant professor here in the biology department, and my specialty, as I'll mention in a little bit, is evolutionary biology, bioinformatics, and genomics. And it's okay if you don't know what those things are. So, like many of you, I am a local Sacramentan. I grew up here through my entire childhood, pretty much all the way up until I left, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So, I've been a lifelong Kings fan. I did not wear this on purpose, but I've been a Kings fan since early on when they were, it was a great time to be a Kings fan. There were some middle years where it wasn't so great to be a Kings fan. And things are looking up. I think we've got a couple more, years of growing pains. But we'll see how it goes. It's fun to watch either way. I went to high school here. I actually went to both C.K. McClatchy, and kind of for several reasons ended up having to change high schools, and ended up going to John F. Kennedy High School for my sophomore through senior year before graduating. I did not do well in school whatsoever, and for whatever reason I thought I would just continue to not do well at school, so I went, well, I don't know what else to do. I'm going to go to Sac City, which is a community college or junior college for those of you not from this area, and continued to just do incredibly poorly. That very first year I failed, or first semester, I failed every single class I signed up for, including remedial math, English, and I even failed introduction to golf. I don't know how I managed that, but I did. And I decided that it was just, time for me to change things up. And so the way I changed things up is I actually left and joined the military. I joined the Air Force, where I was a loadmaster, kind of flew around delivering things for 4 years. But it was about 2 years into that time that I realized, maybe there is a value to an education. And, I liked what I did, but I didn't want to do it for 20 or 30 years. And so I started taking online classes. So I understand your pain taking online classes. I was flying around, taking classes through Solano Community College, taking Introduction to Evolutionary Biology, and several other introductory classes that kind of helped pave the way to me being interested in biology in general. And so when I got out of the Air Force, I wanted to come back to Sacramento. Again, I love it here. And so I came to Sac State. So I was an undergraduate at Sac State. I've actually taken the original Bio100. I took the Bio1, the Bio2 that you guys have all taken. And my goal, like many of you, was a professional school. I wanted to go and be a pharmacist. And so like many of you, you've probably heard the experience that you need to get some internships or research experience. And I heard that too. And so being proactive, I went out and sought out research experiences with the person that I had Bio1 with that I really enjoyed. And that was Dr. Shannon Dotweiler, who is now the Associate Dean of Natural Science and Mathematics, so you may or may not have interacted with her during orientation. But I worked in her research lab, and this was my first research experience, and I worked on a project looking at genome duplications. And we're not going to talk about that in Bio100, but I'm always happy to talk about genome duplications, aka polyploidy, if that's something that interests you, because not only was it my first research experience, it's continued to be a big interest of mine for my entire career at this point. And so I'll fast forward. I'm not going to give you my whole Sac State background, but I graduated. And prior to graduating, I started to change my mind about what I wanted to do. I wanted to go in and become an academic. And so I went to a professional conference, the National Botanical Society of America meeting, and presented some of my research and started to look for people that maybe I could go get my PhD with. And I ran into these two. This is Doug and Pam Soltis. They are kind of really, really interested in polyploidy, and I was like, we're all interested in polyploidy. Please let me come work with you. And things worked out really well. And so I graduated from Sac State. This is just a pro tip for you. You can, get free graduation photos if you don't mind having a bunch of text on them, so don't feel like you have to buy them. Also, just a fun fact, I made my own sandals and wore them pretty much every day of undergrad as well as graduate school, but Sac State has much stricter guidelines on footwear in the lab, so you won't see me wearing my homemade sandals anymore, sadly. And so Doug and Pam's lab was at University of Florida, and so I had to move to Florida. I did not know much about Florida before moving there, having grown up in Sacramento. I just knew what you read on the news, all these weird things that Florida man does, and having lived there for several, 5-6 years, they weren't far off, but that's, more for later. It was interesting going to University of Florida. It's a very different school than Sac State. Sac State's kind of, in many ways what we would call kind of a local campus, a commuter campus. Many of you work and live here and drive in, whereas Florida is kind of, this, big sports school and lots of school spirit and stuff. And even though I was in graduate school, I still got to experience some of that. And it was interesting. It was different. I still loved going to Sac State, though. I think that was a better fit for me. But without getting too much into it, I learned a lot at Florida. I learned not just, a lot of biology, but I learned a lot about kind of being a team player as far as science is concerned, and mentorship and work-life balance. The science I focused on and still focus on, I'm very interdisciplinary. I like to dabble in lots of different things and the interface of those things. So the work I work in mostly, although I work on plants, I also collaborate on non-plant organisms because I look kind of holistically at evolutionary biology, ecology, physiology, and I like to combine them with methods that are more computational. Things like genomics, transcriptomics, sequencing all the RNA in an organism, and analyzing it using big computer servers or networks, we tend to refer to that kind of as bioinformatics, the information science of biology. Again, a little beyond the scope of this class, but just so you know what I do. Now, something that I have taken with me that I learned from both Doug and Pam Soltis is they're big in their field. But they also don't just focus on work. They're very big into work-life balance, and I've taken that to heart. Doug and I, for example, are both into fly fishing, and we would go out, once a month and go fly fish in the Gulf. And, here's some redfish that we caught. And since coming back to Sac State, I've continued that. I still try to get out, although it's harder right now. And I encourage all of you as you kind of continue on with your careers that it's great to really go full on and work really hard at your career, and you should. But also give yourself those breaks that you earn through that hard work, and you're both more productive and happier in many cases. So work-life balance, I think, is something very critical that a lot of us don't talk about and don't develop until sometimes it's too late and you're already burned out with your career. So as I wrapped up my time at University of Florida, I was planning on going to do a postdoc, which is this kind of work that you do for a year or two after graduate school, where you build up your resume even more if you need to. And I was going to be going to Vancouver up in Canada. But I saw that there was one job. I hadn't planned on applying to any jobs yet. But I saw that they were looking for someone that does genomics, and they wanted to hire someone here back at Sac State. And my dream was to always come back. And so I just applied for this position, and things kind of worked out well. And I ended up accepting this position and coming back here in 2017. And the rest is kind of just been this. So I teach a number of different courses here now. I teach our graduate genomics and bioinformatics course, Bio 224. I taught Bio 1 for a while. I've taught Bio 113, evolution and speciation in flowering plants. And I helped redesign Bio 100. And I have some other planned courses here in the future. But a lot of my time now is spent between bioinformatics and Bio 100. And this is one of my favorite classes to teach because it is not a memorize and regurgitate class. This is a class where, it's skills building. I'm not out to get you in this class. I want to show you how different things are done. And in many cases, I like to show you how they're really done, not just kind of in a playful, experimental way where you're never going to actually do it again in that method. So this class is about giving you skills for basic analysis, basic writing, basic scientific reading, and how to get out and find a job towards the end of this class as well. So here's some contact info for me. Obviously, I'm not in my office these days, but out of all my contact methods, when in doubt, just send me an email. I try to be super good about email. Ask anyone that's worked with me, taken classes with me. You're going to get a response within 12 hours often. I don't promise 12 hours, but within a business day. I won't always get back to you on the weekend if it's not urgent. I try to. Sometimes, and I like to throw this out as a disclaimer, I've got a lot going on in my house sometimes. I've got a toddler, or maybe a preschooler, I don't really know where you draw that line, as well as an infant that was born during COVID. And so it gets a little hectic at the Visger household. But I, at the very least, try to send you a quick email from my phone just to, let you know that I've got your email, I'm thinking about it, and then I'm going to get back to you. And so if my emails ever seem kind of short, it's not because I'm frustrated. It's just that I'm probably juggling a child and sending you an email with my thumb at the same time, just so you know that I hear you. And that's how people that I respect have always kind of communicated with me very rapidly, letting them know that I've heard them or they've heard me. And so I try to kind of do the same. If you don't hear back from me in a couple days, it does not bother me at all if you shoot me a reminder email. Things happen. Sometimes I accidentally mark an email as read when I didn't mean to, or I delete it. So I will never be offended if you shoot me another email. So, that's about me. We're going to talk more and cover more about the actual class itself here coming up, but I'm excited to kind of give this online thing, purely online, one more go. I think you'll see that a lot of this class was built with online in mind. We had in-person labs, for this class originally, and obviously we've lost those. But a lot of the actual lecture material, had a lot of thought put into teaching online to begin with. So this is not trying to put a square peg in a round hole. A lot of this class is still round peg, round hole. So you'll be getting the intended experience for much of this class, although I won't get to see all of you in person, and that makes it a lot more difficult and challenging, both professionally and just on a personal level. I like to get to know you guys. So this was a little bit longer than I intended. I try to usually keep my things much shorter, but this was my one chance to kind of let you know who I am a little bit. So I look forward to seeing who you guys are, and I look forward to communicating with you over the course of this semester. Thanks.